Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell y'all something straight from the heart. A man in love doesn't always know the exact moment he says it. He doesn't need candles. He doesn't need no roses. And he sure ain't gonna give you a Shakespeare monologue. But when a man really loves you, oh, he says it. Not with a speech, not with a poem. He says it in the most ordinary, unscripted moment. And the crazy thing, he don't even know he said it. A man in love shows it more through action than big romantic words. That truth is so simple, yet so often overlooked. We live in a world where we expect love to be loud, flashy, and full of fairy tale gestures. But real love, real deep love, it doesn't need a script. It doesn't need music playing in the background. It doesn't need him to say the perfect thing at the perfect time. Because when a man truly loves a woman, it comes out in the way he moves around her. It's in the way he handles the little things, the quiet things, the things no one else even notices. A man who is in love doesn't always know how to say it like a poet. He may not sit you down and pour out a carefully thought out monologue about his feelings, but his love will be in the way he makes sure you're okay before he's even okay. It'll be in the way he thinks of your needs without you having to say a word. He'll get up early just to make sure your car has gas. He'll check on you in the middle of the day just because he felt something and wanted to hear your voice. He doesn't say I love you in those moments, but his actions scream it louder than any words ever could. He may never say he's proud of you in a dramatic speech, but you'll hear it in the way he talks about you to other people. He'll speak your name with pride. He'll tell people what you've achieved like he won the trophy himself. That's how he shows love, by honoring you behind your back just as much as he does to your face. He's not putting on a performance. He's simply letting the world know that you matter, that you've got a place in his life, and that he's lucky to walk beside you. Watch how he handles your bad days. When you're overwhelmed or breaking down, he might not have the perfect advice, but he will sit with you, ride through the storm with you, and hold your hand through every difficult moment. A man in love doesn't run when the emotions get heavy. He leans in. He pays attention. He'll take care of the things you forgot. He'll remember the little things you said weeks ago. You won't even know he was listening, but when he brings it up, you'll feel seen in a way that no words can describe. He doesn't need to announce his love every day, because love is not a slogan to him, it's a commitment. It's built into his habits. It's in the way he protects you emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Without even thinking about it, when he holds the door, when he gives you the last bite, when he offers his jacket, even though he's cold too, that's love. It may look small, but it's real. It's steady. It's sincere. Real love shows up when no one else is watching. It's in the way he includes you in decisions, considers your opinions, and values your happiness. He doesn't do it to win points. He does it because your peace is his peace. Your joy is his reward. He wants to see you smile because that's the moment he feels most at home. And if something bothers you, if something hurts you, watch how quickly he steps in. Not because you asked him to, but because he can't stand to see you in pain. That instinct, that quiet protector energy, that's a man who's in love, whether he says it out loud or not. So don't be fooled by the man who always says the right things but doesn't show up for you. And don't overlook the man who stumbles over his words, but is always right there when you need him. Because love, real love, is not in the speeches. It's in the everyday patterns, the small, quiet sacrifices, the moments where he chooses you, not for show, not for praise, but because loving you has become as natural as breathing. That's the kind of love that doesn't need big words. It speaks for itself. The way a man talks about your future together says everything about where his heart truly is. When a man is genuinely in love, he starts using words and phrases that include you without even realizing he's doing it. He talks in terms of we and us instead of I and me. He doesn't sit down and make a grand statement about wanting to build a life with you. It just naturally comes out in the way he speaks. He'll mention places you two should go, things you both need to get done, or plans for the weekend that automatically include you, and it doesn't feel forced or rehearsed. It feels real because it is real. His subconscious already sees you in his life's picture, so his words naturally reflect that. You might be sitting with him while he's planning something simple like what to do on a Sunday. And he'll casually say, "We got to get some groceries," or "We need to stop by your mom's place." And in that little moment, something powerful is happening. He's not just making a plan. He's showing that in his world, the idea of being separate from you doesn't even cross his mind. When a man loves you deeply, you become part of his every thought and decision. Not because he's trying to impress you, but because loving you has become second nature to him. He might be talking about saving money, changing careers, moving to a new place, or even getting a dog. And before you even respond, you realize he's already including you in all of it. He says things like, "When we get our place," or "when we start that project." That's not just talk. That's a man who's mentally and emotionally committed, whether he says "I love you" or not. That kind of language is him declaring love in its purest form, without even being aware of it. He sees his future and he sees you in it, standing right there beside him. That's not small. That's not casual. That's love working quietly, humbly, and consistently. A man in love doesn't always announce his feelings. He shows them through the way he reshapes his world to make room for you. He might be someone who used to only think about himself, his goals, and his schedule. But once love hits him, you'll hear it in the way he stops making solo decisions and starts asking, "What do you think?" He doesn't just talk about his next move. He talks about your next move together. That shift might seem subtle, but it's everything, because it means he's not just falling in love with you, he's preparing to live with you, not just in the same space, but in the same rhythm, the same heartbeat, the same vision for tomorrow. And even in conflict or when things don't go perfectly, you'll notice something powerful. He still talks about the future with you in it. He doesn't start saying, "I need to think about what's best for me." Instead, he says, "We'll work it out," or "We'll get through this." That's the kind of love that doesn't retreat at the first sign of struggle. That's the kind of love that builds a foundation even in the middle of chaos. A man who speaks like that isn't looking for a way out. He's looking for a way forward with you by his side. And most of the time, he doesn't even realize the weight of what he's saying. It just comes out because that's where his heart is rooted. The way he includes you in his speech is not just habit. It's a reflection of how deeply connected he feels. You are not a guest in his world anymore. You are his world. He might never stand in front of a crowd and pour his heart out in some big romantic gesture, but if you really listen, his love will show itself every time he speaks about the future and sees only one version of it, the one with you in it. When a man talks like that, even without meaning to, that's when you know he loves you more than he even realizes. When a man truly loves you, there's a quiet transformation that happens in the way he speaks. Without even thinking about it, he starts to replace I with we, mine with ours, and suddenly, you're not just someone in his life, you become a part of his identity. And the most beautiful part of it is, he doesn't even realize he's doing it. It's not calculated, it's not a performance, it's instinct. It comes from a place of comfort, from a place where love has become so natural to him that he forgets there was ever a time you weren't there. When a man uses we instead of I, it's not about good manners or trying to be romantic. It's an emotional truth spilling out of his soul. You'll hear it in the little things. He'll say, we need to fix that, or we should try that new place, and he won't even blink. That's love talking without a script. That's his heart showing you where it's at. It means you're no longer an option, you're a constant. He starts making decisions with you in mind, not because you asked him to, not because it's expected, but because that's where his head naturally goes. You have become part of his thought process, part of his goals, part of his peace. And if you're really listening, that's when you'll hear the love, not in grand declarations, but in those shared moments that seem so small, yet carry so much weight. A man who truly loves you starts to feel responsible for your well-being. He starts looking out for you in a way that goes beyond words. You'll notice it when he checks in on you just to make sure you're okay. Not because you're fragile, not because you need help, but because your happiness is now connected to his. He starts thinking about how things affect you, even if it has nothing to do with him. He might say, don't stress, I got it, or just let me handle it. And he won't say it to sound tough or impressive. He says it because he means it. He says it because when you're at peace, he's at peace too. When he sees you struggle or when something's off, his voice changes. His tone gets softer. Even if he's not good with emotional words, he'll say something like, you need anything? Or you good? And those simple questions, that's him reaching out, making sure you're not carrying the weight of the world alone. It may sound casual, but that's love. It's not about fancy phrases. It's about being there. It's about the way his concern slips into conversation without him even knowing it. He'll adjust his schedule, shift his priorities, and change his own habits just to see you smile. And he'll do all of it without expecting praise. He also starts to talk about the future without separating it from you. He says, we got to handle this next year, or we need to plan that trip. It's not a negotiation. It's not an invitation. It's a reflection of how his mind works now. His plans include you because they wouldn't feel complete without you. He may not be the kind of man to write love letters or sing love songs, but the way he speaks, if you really pay attention, will tell you everything. His love will slip out in the most honest way when he's not trying to be romantic, when he's just being himself. When a man loves you deeply, the shift in language is just a mirror of the shift in his soul. He begins to carry your feelings alongside his own. He starts using his words not just to express himself, but to protect you, to comfort you, and to include you in everything he's building. And the beauty is, he doesn't even realize how powerful those words are. He just knows that when he speaks, it feels right to say we. Because in his heart, there's no longer a version of life where you aren't by his side. That's real love, unspoken, unforced, and undeniable. When a man truly loves you, his tone tells the story long before his words ever do. He doesn't have to say, I love you every single day because his voice already carries that message. It's in the softness when he says your name, in the calmness when you're stressed, in the warmth that slips into his words when he asks how your day was. He doesn't even realize it most of the time. It just happens. Love changes a man not just in his behavior, but in the very sound of how he speaks to you. Even if he's been tough, cold, or guarded with the world, his voice starts to shift when he's around the woman he truly cares about. It's not something he plans. It's not something he reads about in a book or learns from a friend. It just becomes part of him. His tone becomes more patient when you're upset. He doesn't rush to fix everything. You'll hear it in how he listens. That's real love. A man who is in love listens differently. He hears beyond your words. He picks up on your silence. He catches your hesitation, and he responds with quiet understanding. He might not say anything extraordinary in that moment, but the way he says, I got you, or don't worry, carries the weight of 100 love letters. Sometimes love isn't loud. Sometimes it's gentle and steady. And you'll feel that in the way his voice wraps around you like a safe place. Even if you're in the middle of an argument, even when emotions are high, there's a difference. He doesn't shout over you. He doesn't try to win. He'll say things like, let's figure this out, or I'm not going anywhere. And he won't realize how deep those words hit, but they do. They say, I love you without saying it directly. They say, you matter to me even in conflict, even in chaos, even when it's hard. He may not be great with romantic speeches or fancy declarations, but when a man loves you, the kindness in his tone becomes consistent. You won't have to guess where you stand. His voice becomes home. It becomes something you rely on, not because it's perfect, but because it's honest. He'll ask if you've eaten, if you've rested, if you need anything, and it won't be routine. It'll come from that place inside him that quietly wants to take care of you. That's what love does to a man. It changes what he says, but more importantly, it changes how he says it. It happens when he's not trying. He might be on the phone with you late at night, and his voice is low, relaxed, and soft. Not because he's tired, but because he feels safe with you. He doesn't have to perform. He can just be himself. And in those quiet moments, when there's nothing dramatic going on, he'll say something so simple like, be careful, or let me know when you get there. And It'll mean more than 1,000 compliments, because in that small phrase, you'll hear what's really going on in his heart. He cares, he worries, he's invested, and he doesn't even realize that those words are drenched in love. When a man is in love, his tone also becomes protective. He becomes gentle with your fears and firm against anything that threatens your peace. He won't always say, "I'm here for you," but he will sound like someone who is. He will sound like safety. You'll hear it when he encourages you. You'll hear it when he comforts you. You'll hear it when he laughs with you and when he's silent with you, sitting in your presence without needing to fill the space. That's what makes it real. Love doesn't always show up in obvious ways. Sometimes it slips out in the sound of his voice, the way it changes only for you, and he may not know that every word he speaks in that tone builds your trust in him, but it does. Because when a man loves you, truly loves you, the most honest part of him is not what he says, it's how he says it. And that tone, that softness, that steady rhythm of his voice, that's love. Pure, honest, and completely unaware of how beautiful it truly is. When a man is truly in love, the words he uses often carry more weight than even he realizes. He may not always express his emotions directly, but pay attention to the things he says when you're not asking for reassurance. He might casually say something like, "Don't worry, I got you," or "I'll take care of it." On the surface, those might sound like simple, everyday phrases, but underneath, they're full of unspoken care, responsibility, and love. He's not trying to sound romantic. He's not trying to impress you. He's simply offering his presence, his strength, and his protection. And that's when you know those words mean more than 100 "I love yous." These phrases come out naturally when his love is real. He says them when you're stressed, when you're tired, when life feels heavy on your shoulders. Without any big display, he steps in and tries to take some of that weight off. And the way he says it, calm, steady, full of quiet confidence. It tells you everything. It tells you that he sees you. It tells you that your struggles are his now too. When he says, "I got you," he's not just saying he'll help. He's saying he's with you, he's for you, and he's not going anywhere. It's not just what he says, it's when he says it. You could be going through something tough, and he won't wait for you to ask. He'll just be there. He might not have the perfect advice or some deep emotional statement, but what he says will bring peace. He'll say, "We'll figure it out," or "I'm here if you need me." And he'll say it like it's the most normal thing in the world. That's how you know he means it. He doesn't make it dramatic, he just shows up with his words, with his actions, with his heart. A man who loves you deeply doesn't use those phrases as empty promises, he backs them up. If he says, "Don't worry," it's because he's already thinking of how to solve the problem. If he says, "I got it," it means you can actually let go because he means what he says. You start to realize over time that his love language isn't always flowers or poetic messages. It's reliability. It's in the way he speaks about you and to you with consistency, with intention, and with sincerity. He may not be a man of many words, but the few he chooses carry all the love in the world. Even when he doesn't say much, his presence speaks through his tone and timing. He'll speak up when you need support, and he'll be quiet when all you need is someone to just be there. But in the middle of that silence, when he says, it's okay, I'm here, or you don't have to go through this alone, he might not even know how much those words affect you. He doesn't say them because they're the right thing to say. He says them because he feels them. That's when love is real. That's when it's honest. That's when it doesn't even need to be polished. Those phrases, so small, so simple, are actually huge in meaning. They're the kind of words a man says when his heart is fully invested, even if he doesn't understand how deeply he's expressing it. When you hear them, you don't just feel loved. You feel safe. You feel like you're not carrying the weight of life alone anymore. You feel like someone has your back, and not just in the good moments, but especially in the hard ones. And that kind of love, it's rare, it's quiet, and it often goes unnoticed by the person giving it. But to the one receiving it, it means everything. So when a man says, I got you, or don't worry without thinking twice, pay attention. That's his heart speaking. That's real love in action, disguised as everyday conversation. He doesn't even know he's saying something that powerful, but he is. And that's what makes it so beautiful. Real love doesn't always show itself in big dramatic moments. Often it reveals itself in quiet, consistent ways that most people would overlook. A man who truly loves you might not shout it from the rooftops every day, but you feel it in his steady presence, his small gestures, and his daily words. Love lives in consistency, not just in one-time declarations or grand romantic displays. It's in the way he shows up day after day, whether life is smooth or messy. And most of the time, he doesn't even realize how much those little things matter. He's not doing it for recognition. He's doing it because you've become part of him, and caring for you has become part of his nature. A man in love doesn't need to be asked to show up. He's already there, checking in, staying close, and keeping his promises without making a big deal out of it. He says things like, text me when you get home, or let me know how it goes, without even thinking. And those words, they're not just routine. They're him saying, I'm with you. I care about your safety. I care about your life. He may not always say, I love you, but his voice will echo that love every time he reminds you to take care of yourself, every time he asks if you're okay, and every time he remembers the details that most people forget. Consistency in love is one of the deepest, strongest signs that it's real. When he shows up, even when he's tired, when he supports you, even when it's inconvenient, when he stays, even when things are hard, that's love. Not the kind that fades when life gets complicated, but the kind that settles in and stays rooted. He might not always know how to express it perfectly, but his actions, his tone, his follow-through, they say it louder than words ever could. And what makes it more powerful is that he often doesn't even know how clearly his love is showing. He's not trying to impress you. He's just being who he is with you. And who he is yours. He's the type of man who will say, call me if you need anything, and actually mean it. He won't disappear when things go silent. He won't run when emotions get messy. He sticks around. He listens. He checks on you when you least expect it. He brings up that one thing you mentioned in passing 2 weeks ago, not because he made a note of it, but because he cared enough to remember. That's consistency. That's attention. That's love. Even when life pulls him in different directions, he doesn't let you become an afterthought. He makes time, not excuses. He finds little ways to let you know you're on his mind. It could be a short message, a late night call, or just a quiet moment where he looks at you and says, "I'm proud of you." These are not big, loud gestures, but they're the kind that build unshakable trust. They say, "You matter to me every day, not just when it's convenient." And that's what makes love last. He might not be perfect, and he may not always get the words right, but one thing about a man who really loves you, he will be there. He'll be consistent in how he treats you, in how he speaks to you, in how he respects you. You won't feel like you're guessing or chasing or wondering where you stand. You'll feel seen. You'll feel chosen. And that feeling doesn't come from one romantic night or one emotional conversation. It comes from steady words, steady actions, and steady love that doesn't need to announce itself. It just stays. So when you're trying to figure out if he loves you, listen for the rhythm of his presence. Pay attention to the way he's consistent even when no one's watching. That's the kind of love that speaks softly but holds strong. That's the love that's real, even when he doesn't realize how